Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today, Dr. John Weil. He's the Dean of the Honor School at Middle Tennessee State University and a political science professor there. We've been talking about the continuing controversy over the Mueller report and all the other controversies going on in Washington. Dr. Weil, there's a presidential election next year, and in a lot of cases, people continue to be a little puzzled why the president continues to focus strictly on issues that relate to his base. The economy is very good. In presidential politics, the rule of thumb is it's the economy, stupid. The economy is very good. Why doesn't the president focus more on that and try to build his base from there instead of continuing to focus on issues like immigration and others that are strictly ones that seem to help him only with his base?
I'm really not sure. I mean, I do know part of what happens in elections is, if you have an even number of supporters and opponents, if your supporters are more motivated than others, you still end up winning. And his base seems very, very loyal, very excited. But I do think he's going to have to grow it some. And again, it's always possible, depending on who he runs against. Let's say if it were Sanders, there might be an anti-Sanders vote that we go toward Trump.
Let me ask you a little bit different question.
Okay.
What do your students at MTSU think about all this? Is this something they're interested in your classes? Do they want to talk about the Mueller report? Do they want to talk about impeachment and all the other things that are going on?
I took a group over spring break to historic sites in Virginia and Washington, D.C., and I think we tended to talk more generally about, American politics in historical perspective, but I think there is interest in it, yes.
So what do the Democrats do? They have 20 candidates running for president. That's quite an undercard and overcard if this was a boxing match. Right now, it would appear that Vice President Biden, who announced this week, and along with Sanders are the two leading candidates. They're both white, older, experienced politicians. Is that the face the Democratic Party wants in 2020? It was certainly a different face in 2018 when there were many women, many people of color running as well.
Well, if you have a white male who is ideologically able to appeal to those groups, it may not matter. I don't like to predict very much in politics because I'm usually wrong, but I would certainly expect that if you had a white male, that almost surely they would balance the ticket with a woman, possibly an African American or a woman of color.
How does the Democrats sort this out? There seems to be a division to some degree among Democrats about the impeachment issue. A couple have come out in favor of Elizabeth Warren. I think was the first to come out and say we need to move ahead on this.
Yes.
A lot of the others are quiet about it. Biden just got in. He has not spoken much about it. Is that going to be an issue that will divide Democrats among themselves? And when you're 20 candidates, don't you need to do something that's going to stand out a little bit?
You do. And, I'm trying to think, when was the last election where we had this many candidates?
Was the Republicans in 2016?
Was the Republicans, and in that case, it was a person, I don't know how to phrase this in diplomatic fashion, but it was basically the loudest, most unconventional candidate of all. I don't know if you would have something similar to that on the Democratic side or not, and I'm not sure which one it would be. There's
Mayor Pete?
Well, possibly. Although, in terms of his rhetoric, I find that
O'Rourke
he's
in Texas. I mean, you've got some unconventional type candidates out there, and you've got women candidates out there that are making it.
Absolutely.
I mean, if Americans love choice, the Democratic Party offers lots of choices when you got 20 different people running.
It does, but only one of them is going to be on that, probably on the final ballot.
Given the way the Democrats nominate their presidents, because they never do winner-take-all primaries anymore, are we going to? And when we just had Sanders and Clinton 4 years ago, that race got elongated because the system gave out delegates according to what their votes were. Even though Hillary Clinton was well ahead. Now, are we going to have that even to a larger degree with 20 candidates in the race?
We might, although, for years, political scientists and commentators, I think we've always been hoping it's going to go to the convention and we're going to finally decide it there. And it hasn't since maybe 56 or 52. It's been a long, long time.
And at the same time all this is going on in the presidential race, it looks like we're going to spend a lot of time going to the courts, maybe all the way to the Supreme Court, on the president's taxes, on the subpoenas, lots of other things. The word constitutional crisis gets thrown around a lot these days. Are we approaching that with so many things in Washington now being sent to the Supreme Court or in the courts for such a long period of time?
I don't think we are yet. A lot of this is, a lot of threatening to take things to the court, going to wash out long before it gets there. I think the Supreme Court would do its best to evade having to make a decision that, another Bush versus Gore that would, or even something that would seem to impact the election before it actually occurred.
But there's so many justices that are on the court now that weren't there in 2000.
No, that's right. I don't think you'd have a repeat of that. But I think that the court would be very wary if they could avoid a confrontation that might end up influencing the election. I think they would try to do that.
Speaker Pelosi, she's been trying to say Donald Trump's not worth impeaching, that they need to focus on something else. Is she going to continue to be the voice the Democrats listen to? There are others who want to go on a little bit more radical thing in terms of impeachment and other things.
I think the one dimension we don't know about is, as you say, the Southern District in New York. It's possible that we will have other information coming out that would make the impeachment clearer or not clearer before that we get to that point.
Dr. Vial, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for trying to illuminate about this. I suspect we'll have you back to talk about it more again in the future.
I would appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. The Zoo commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.